Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. Channel. I was saying channel. It's the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. We're live. It's all Faces podcast brought to you by Geordie Gifts. Once again, as always, Geordie Gifts is back open in the Green Jar Market. So pop in there. You probably just missed Christmas delivery, but there's nothing stopping you actually going to the store in the Green Jar Market. So pop yourselves along. To preview the Brentford game, Mark's talking, but I'm just ignoring him, as usual. Brentford game tomorrow night. I'm going to start with Steve Bruce's comment. So his comment in his press conference today. I know we've had a lot of issues with Jamal Lascelles and Steve Maximum, but we'll get on those in just a minute. But the comments today, which Steve Bruce has said, was basically, let's have a crack. Let's enjoy it. So let's have a crack at it. Let's enjoy the game. Is that a Premier League manager talking about a quarter-final game against a lower league opposition? Well, I'm saying lower league, but they're a league below us. So is that what you want to hear from this manager? Over to you, Decker.
It's probably not. What I would say in reflection to that is maybe he's just trying to not put extra pressure on the players by saying, just enjoy it, see what we can do, rather than saying this is the biggest game of my tenure and probably will be the biggest game of my tenure. We'll have to win. It's a huge game. Maybe he feels that might be putting pressure on the players, perhaps. But what my heart tells us is no, I would rather him not say it like that.
Do you think this is what you're expecting the likes of a League Two team, in fact, a non-league team bestie, saying to somebody who's going up against one of the big boys, let's have fun out there, lads. Let's see what we can do. Let's have a crack at it.
Doesn't really fill you with confidence, does it? Like when you hear your manager saying that. Like I think, a lot of every game now, Bruce will do a pre-game thing, and immediately the fans are on his back saying, well, you always talk the team down and all that. And I don't read too much into what he says, to be honest with you, for the most part, because you've got to show your opponent that degree of respect, because how often do you hear that a manager will pin what the opposing manager set up in the dressing room and say, right, there's your team talk. And it can act to galvanise the opposition when you say, we should be beating these because of shit and all that. Not that I would say, but you know what I mean? Like you've got to kind of have that level of respect. On the other side of that, it's not when you're playing against a team. Brentford are going well. They're fourth in the championship at the minute. They're 3 points off the Brentford. That is Brentford. Yeah, I've always got Brentford and Bournemouth mixed up. Always.
Let's not get started about Mark's pronunciation of Bournemouth, cinema, or mistletoe.
Jimmy.
But you don't want. You'd like to think. It's one of those things where I would like him to be a bit more positive and maybe a bit more bullish, if that's the right word. But at the same time, I think Bruce is at that stage now where everything he says gets picked up on and everything he says kind of gets put through this.
But you know what is, Bestie? Just to jump in, he's not helping himself, is he? He's really not. You can go into this game and basically say, you don't have to slate that team or anything and say, we're the Premier League team. You'd expect us to go into this team and win it because we are the Premier League team. Then, just take it from there. You don't have to. I just think he's downplaying the game straight away and setting himself up for the defeat. Well, not actually setting himself up for the defeat, but the excuse afterwards.
Let's face it, he does it every week, though, doesn't he?
You know what's coming.
He does it every week. Regardless of who we play, it's the same story. We'll go, we'll try, we're best. They're a very good team. We're going to be in for a tough time, and we'll see what happens. Good luck to it. That's not motivational. That's not, getting the team to go out there.
What's happening behind the scenes, though? Do you think anything else is happening behind the scenes? Do you think this is what you're seeing in front of cameras and think there's something else in this dressing room?
This is the conversation we had the other week, wasn't it? We had the same debate, didn't we, around the fact that he has this almost negative approach to how he's going about things in his media. And yes, you could think, well, maybe he is saying different things in the background and geeing them up and getting them ready for the match and motivated. But you kind of tell me when you watch them on the pitch that looks like a motivated and G'd up team. That looks like a team that's going out with a defeated attitude.
That looks like a team that's been listening to Michael Bublé's Christmas album before going on the pitch.
Just to come back on what you said there, Mark, about what he says every week, I definitely agree with what you're saying. He does say that every week, but there's not many managers don't say that. I was watching Pep, they were playing Burnley or something, and he was like, well, it's a tough place to go. They all say it. It's just rinse and repeat. The Premier League's a tough league and there's no easy games. Every manager says the same thing. I don't say anything different. What I will also say is, if Bruce then came out and says, no, you're not, we're really confident, we're the Premier League side, and we should be winning this game, I think fans would be saying, he thinks we're the Premier League side. Does he watch us play? We're fucking shit. Like, they would just have another go at that. Like, to kind of, what Bessie's saying is that it doesn't really matter what he says, no one's going to agree with it, no matter what it is.
Well, I've suspected for a long time that the stuff that you hear managers say in press conferences, like when you hear what Mourinho talk, like it's for the benefit of the players. What you hear him say in the dressing room and what you hear him say at the press will be two completely different things. I wouldn't imagine like Almiron or Ryan Fraser, who's likely to play, like will be picking a paper up, going like, God, is that what he thinks? Is that really? Does he think that they're that good that they're going to trouble us? It'll be a completely different message going out in the dressing room. He will be saying to them, look at these off Championship team. So,
why is that translating on the pitch though?
Yeah,
that's a shit manager.
Yeah, but that's completely different to managing a press conference and telling your players, go out and play well, lads. It's completely different. Look at who did we beat 7 out or 6 out? By about 100% possession. Who was that? They were shite, man.
Was it Cheltenham?
It might have been.
Was it?
They were League 2 or something. They were awful. He said the same in that press conference. You know what it is, but we'll have to be careful because it'll be a Skype for them, and we're going to be.
It's sort of like
going to be tough.
He always goes down the likes of David and Goliath route, doesn't he?
Of course he does.
That's what he always looks at.
It's just, the thing for me is I feel I don't want to be too, like, what's the word here? Like, give him a free ride here, but I don't know how much all this. Yeah, I don't know how much this COVID and lack of training has affected the players, because I tell you what my biggest concern is, right? We got absolutely thumped off Leeds. I'm going back here a bit, but we got thumped off Leeds, right? It was embarrassing. And I thought the very least we'll get against Fulham's a reaction. And my God, we didn't even get that.
Well, I put that out on Twitter, didn't I, mate? Just before kickoff, I put out from the Gallagher Shots account saying that we need 3 points. We don't just need 3 points. We need a decent display as well. We need a reaction to that 5-2 absolute hiding from Leeds. We got neither.
Can I ask you a question?
It was a 1-1 draw, and we were lucky to get that draw.
You've mentioned there that getting 3 points, had to get 3 points.
Yeah.
Would you? I'm going to be very honest here. I would have rather have took a good performance. If we drew 1-1, we drew 1-1. But if we played really well and hit the post 10 times and had 2 goals offside and missed a penalty, I'd be like, do you know, at least we played well.
If you had said, I'm not sure, mate, because at the end of the day, you need points on the board. Doesn't really matter how they come. But it was just the likes of the fact that is off, mate. Like, yes, if I'd went and won the game, then I would have went, right, fair enough, we won the game. It still wasn't great, but we won the game. But the fact that it was, it's not even the fact that we drew it, mate. We were the second best team again. We're going into a game in the quarterfinal now to get into the semi-finals, and Brentford are favourites to win this game. Championship team are favourites to win this game.
Well, I believe Fulham were favourites. I believe Fulham were favourites on Saturday as well. Yeah, because a few people are messaging me saying, "How can Fulham be favourites?" Blah blah blah. And that's just because we're absolutely shite. That's why. And I just think what annoyed me is you look at the amount of goals Fulham shipped. That's 22 goals or something in the last 25 games or something like that. And the Rockham are building, and they have 67% of the ball after half an hour.
They were down to 10 men. I'll move over you, Mark. They were down to 10 men for quite a chunk of that game. And we never pressurised their goals since that. And one of the things which I want to mention is, I don't want to go too much against our game. Obviously, it's a preview on this one. But we'll get a free kick in the last 30 seconds of the game. That free kick doesn't even make the box. That is dreadful. And that's not down to Steve Bruce. That's down to the players. Surely it takes one of those players to grab the ball and say, I'm just going to hoof this into the box and hope for the best. Because nothing's going to happen by passing it around.
But what are your thoughts on that, mate? They did that for the last 10, 15 minutes. When we should be going on, we made changes. We had an extra man. We should have been making that man count, putting the ball into wide positions, getting people forward, using the free man. We didn't do it. We were quite happy just to tippy-tap the ball backwards and forwards. back across the midfield, drop it back to a defence, from left to right across the back four, back into midfield. There was no forward balls or thoughts to get forward and attack.
So the team that would give a hiding to was Morecambe. Someone put in the comments, Morecambe.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a few comments. I'll go through the comments in just a moment. But the likes of the starting lineup, you would hope to see. Personally, from me, I would like to see Jacob Murphy in there at his favoured position. On the wing somewhere. I would like to see Ryan Fraser start, and I would also like to see Dwight Gale start.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three players for me that I would like to see in the team.
You think Fraser would start, given the fact that he came on at the weekend? He was probably the only one that did try and get forward. Obviously, Richie swapped over to the left-hand side, and him and Fraser were linking up decently in a few occasions. But I don't know, maybe do you think he might rest Wilson? Give him a little bit of a game off and bring in.
Do you know what it is, right? I watched something earlier on, and I'll move to you on this one, Decker. Andy Carroll. Would you like to see him start this game or not? He's been on the bench. He's been in the squad. Can you see him starting this one? And if he was to, what does that mean for you?
I think he'll be knocking down Bruce's door every day, saying why I'm fit, why don't I play, blah blah blah.
Well, I hope he's not hitting it too hard.
But true. For me, this is our most important game of the season, and you've got to play Wilson. It's as simple as that. I agree. I would probably also play Gale because I still think he'll play 4-4-2. I do. And I don't want to get an argument here because I know some of you thought he played well. I didn't think Joe played particularly well on Saturday. None of them did. I didn't think Joe played particularly well. I thought he looked really tired, and that's fine. He's played every game, I think, since we've came back from the COVID situation. So I think maybe a rest might be due. And I just want to also comment on one thing, and I'll shut about the previous game. Did any of you see how deep Shelby and Longstaff were coming for the ball in the second half? Almost Shelby was becoming a left back, and Longstaff was almost a right back.
Mate, there was one. You mentioned Joe Lynn on there, mate. There's one point where he was at right back picking the ball up.
Well, if your centre midfielders are coming that deep, and I'm not even saying centrally deep, they were coming almost wide deep, collecting it off Clark. Clark was just shipping it, or Shea was. Sorry, not Shea, Fernandez or whatever. There's nobody in the middle of the field. So the only ball we had was long. And then ironically, when we needed to get the ball in the box towards the end of the game, we started tippy-tapping it about. I literally just could not believe what I was saying. But sorry, yes, I would start with Wilson. I wouldn't play Carroll. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Bestie, thoughts on Carroll?
It's just not working, is it? It's not, since he came back, he hasn't really. He has a couple of good moments where he's come on and changed things, but I don't know enough about Brentford's defence. It is to kind of know what are the lads that are going to have you in their pockets, whether he'd roughing up or would that little bit of pace that Dwight Gale's got and Callum Wilson's got be better used against him. You'd imagine, like, championship defenders aren't normally known for being rapid, like, so I'd probably go with Gale, and it's nice to have the option in it, really. We've got kind of talk about four strikers here, like, so certainly Gale, I'd like to see, and I'd maybe give Wilson a rest. Maybe we'll give, but there again,
give him a rest. You mean keep him on the bench?
I have him on hand just in case we need him. But there again, Decker makes a point as well, and I've heard Luke make a point a few weeks ago on our podcast saying, "Well, the league, safe enough in the league. How many points ahead of the bottom three now? Get at them, try and win a game."
You've got it.
The worrying thing, though, mate, you say that we're X amount of points from the bottom three. Our next run of games for 4 or 5 games, it's a difficult run. So you can see that gap closing and quite promptly. One of the strikes says,
Arsenal.
One of the Arsenal get 3 points.
Relegation battle, that one, isn't it? Arsenal.
Another striker who I wanted to talk about, Mark, is Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, one of the players that we let go. A lot of people think he's on loan, but I'm pretty confident that we sold him. He's not a Newcastle United player, because there's a lot of questions saying, will he play against Newcastle United? Is he allowed to play? Of course he's allowed to play. He's not on our books. I think he did go out for loan. He went to Scunthorpe and a few other clubs.
He's there for 3 years.
But he's not our player anymore, so of course he'll be playing that game. And he's got a point to prove coming against ourselves. We didn't give him a chance. Probably at the time I thought he didn't deserve a chance, to be fair. Well, not that he didn't deserve a chance, but he was very, very raw. Similar to what we've seen with God knows how many young strikers coming through the ranks and Newcastle bringing on board.
Satian said last week, wasn't it? Is that he wouldn't be the player he is now if he hadn't have left this club.
Yeah,
he would have sat around, hung around in the 23s, never got a game, wouldn't have developed, and he wouldn't even be at the level that he is now had that have happened, because he would have disappeared. All good to him. He's gone off. He's had a decent career. He's had a decent time at Peterborough. He got himself a good move to Brentford, which are a very good team. The way that their whole business model and everything like that is they are set up to be a success. They have a fantastic kind of. They almost market it as a money ball kind of scheme. The way that they kind of run things, and they'll.
We've got 10 million for Tony. We sold them for 10 million.
Yeah. Well, I think we got a buyout part of that, didn't we?
Yeah, we got a cut, didn't we? What, 1.5 million or 1.75 million? We got.
I think it was 10, 15%, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's
which wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but Mark, you're sounding more positive than Bruce here about Brentford. You're getting us worried here.
They are a very, very good team, and I was massively surprised that they were very unlucky not to come up last season. And
they play better football than us. There's no question of that. They play better football than what we do.
Yeah, the way they play, the way the clubs ran, and everything, they're brilliant. Got themselves a new stadium this season. They're a very good team, and I can see them going on to do well.
Did any of you see the goals against Reading at the weekend? Because it was on a Saturday, like live. You could when they beat Reading, I think 3-1 or 4-1. My God, the goals were unreal.
So Michael Eglantine said, when was the last time a return player scored past us? Did Perez not score against us?
Yeah, last season I'm sure
he scored against one at home, didn't he?
I'm sure he did against us. I'm sure he did. He done that celebration. Yeah, sure he did.
Yeah. It doesn't worry us. Like Ivan Toney doesn't worry us. If he scores, he scores. But I tell honest to God, here, I'm not losing sleep at night over Ivan Toney. Like, I feel I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. I'm just saying, like, Christ Almighty, our defenders have come against Aguero, man, for Christ's sake, and Premier League quality players. We shouldn't really be worried about these, but you already know now, don't you, what the game's going to be like? That's the problem. You just know, don't you? Yeah, you know.
If you're critical of Tony, you can say he is still very raw, where he'll need 2 or 3 opportunities to get a goal. I'll say that. I'll come back.
The thing is, Mark, that he actually, you know, for fine well going up against this Newcastle United, he'll get those 3 or 4 opportunities. We won't get those 3 or 4 opportunities on the other side, and that's the worrying thing.
There's not many strikers in the world. There's not that many strikers in the world that don't need 3 or 4 opportunities. There's really not. Like in the modern game, I can't see there's not that many that are absolutely deadly where it's 1 for 1. It's a bit of
Scott Tomlinson, who had an absolute blinder in the last video that we're just done with the Christmas songs, has said Newcastle worry me more than Tony.
Aye.
That's an absolute shout.
It is
an absolute shout.
Because you know we won't react. If we could get on the front foot and take the game to them, then absolutely we've got enough quality to cause them problems. But my worry is, as Scott's just said, will we do it? Probably not.
No. Do you think that's just Bruce's tactics, or do you think that's a sheer lack of confidence that the players carry at the minute?
Personally, I think Bruce is a very bad manager. We knew that before he came to the club. He's not a Premier League manager, but I think that the team and the club has need a lot of improvement in key areas, which it hasn't done for God knows how many years. So we are our own worst enemy by not upgrading those areas, like midfield. I'm talking about it. So the centre midfield partnership, not just the partnership, even just bringing one centre midfielder in to improve that hasn't happened. So it's going to be the same sort of performance that we've seen for X amount of games now, where midfield's non-existent. We'll hope for the best. I can't imagine the likes of Matty Longstaff coming in, because looks like he'll probably go out on loan in January. So we're going to be stuck with the same lads that we've seen over the last few weeks, and there's not going to be much improved. So I don't know if you have got anything else to say on that, but
not very exciting, is it? It'd be interesting to see if Bournemouth, Brentford, fucking hell, bestie, if Brentford sit back and let us attack them, or if they get on the ball, because obviously in the Championship we would have a lot of the ball and have to play through teams.
Well, I think Brentford would make a mistake if they didn't attack us.
I think so as well. Especially, as you say, Tony's got 18 goals in the league this season. Being a success in the Championship doesn't always equate to look like Bobby Zamora, even Dwight Gale, you could argue, who's got bagfuls in the Championship. Mm-hmm. Maybe he hasn't really had as much of a chance in the Premier League, but still, obviously the standard is quite a difference. But he'll be licking his lips. I'd rather have him in my team tomorrow than have him playing against him.
So we've got a Brentford fan watching this one. This says that he's a Brentford fan. If Newcastle are able to start fast and come at us with pace, there's a chance that Newcastle can also get something from crosses. Does it worry you now, Dagger, that we're looking at this game now and we're talking about our flaws and why Brentford will probably bring the game to us when we, like we've just said, if we've got the pace and the attack and flair to go towards them, which we know the players have. There's a lot of players in that team that do have it. Why are we not seeing this?
It's a question I think we've asked almost from minute one of the season. I feel like we've got the personnel to play a more expansive game. To be fair, actually, I keep saying expansive. Within reason, I have nothing about trying to be solid and perhaps playing on the counter attack. I don't really mind that so much, but we can't even do that very well. Where I do worry though, and this is a big concern. Listen, I understand about Bruce. I don't want Bruce in. Christ, we all know that. But some of the individual errors I'm seeing at the minute, and just the sheer lack of being able to play football is frightening at the minute, frightening.
What have I said every single week now? I don't know how many times. I can remember a couple of seasons back, Decker, when you were saying this is a formation that we should be playing. And we did eventually start playing it. Yeah. And I've said every week for probably since the start of the season that every single game there's a player that forgets how to move their body and it costs her a goal. We saw it at the weekend with Richie. The ball just hits him in the face. And goes in the back of the goal. There's always one player. I think it was Longstaff the week before the game before against Leeds. There'll be another one. There'll be another massive error.
Longstaff against Southampton tried to drag her back, and the ball wasn't there, and the score.
There'll be another one. Obviously, Lascelles forgot how to play football. We've seen Fernandez forget how to lose his feet. We saw Richie at Spurs, where you just let the ball roll past him. There's been so many this season, and that's just off the top of my head. There'll be more.
Obviously, you could turn that back to Bruce and say that's because they're not well drilled enough in training, that whatever it may be. But I still have to label the players also at fault here as well. I just feel that they're not putting in the performances either, and many of them aren't. And on Saturday especially, my God, that game was awful, man. As I text you lads, I said I honestly feel I got a lot of replies, people saying we'll play like this every week. I don't think we're quite play as bad as that every week. I mean, we're shit, but my God, Saturday was terrible. Really bad, I thought.
There's been a couple of questions. I'll go to you, Mark. There's been a couple of questions in relation to goalkeepers. We've seen that Dubravka's back in training, full training. Is it too early for him? Will you see Gillespie coming in there?
I think it's too early, to be fair. Gillespie played the last couple of games, didn't he? I don't know. I feel at this stage whether he might just stick with Darlow because it is the quarterfinal rather than risk bringing M-Dubs back in.
It's not Dubravka that I'm more concerned about, mate. It's at the start of the season. We all know that goalkeepers get told what they're going to be playing, and we've saw it for God knows how many years. With Dubravka, obviously you're our Premier League goalkeeper. Obviously that didn't happen because he got injured. So Darlow becomes our Premier League player. Is it the fact where Gillespie's? Oh my God! I've just saw Bessie's hand catches there. Is it the case where Gillespie is that player? He's a cup player. He's been told that he's going to be that keeper in those games. I'm not worried about Dubravka. It's is Gillespie playing or is Darlow playing?
Is this question everybody or just Mark?
Adam said, everybody, but everybody said that Gillespie's been away for a few weeks because his missus had a baby. I can't see him. Congratulations, Gillespie family, first of all.
Congratulations.
But then somebody else has said, I think he's got COVID. So I don't know what's happened.
What, the baby or?
I don't know.
Mate.
I don't know.
For me,
he hasn't been on the bench, has he?
He was on Saturday.
He must have been.
He was on Saturday.
He was. I can remember.
If if Bruce doesn't start Darlow on Saturday, tomorrow, I'll go absolutely ballistic, because he has to start his strongest team tomorrow, man. And more so than ever, Dubravka's coming back.
You made a good point there, Dick. I'll come straight back to you, mate. But the goalkeeper is probably one of the positions. If they're not injured, you play your best goalkeeper, because fitness levels aren't really coming into effect. It's a case that if your goalkeeper's injured, then you bring the next one in. If Darlow's not injured, then you start him every single game. If he's your first choice fit goalkeeper, has to be.
We've seen Darlow take a wobble. Was it Man United at home? I know Mark disagreed, but he was struggling. I remember that game; he could hardly stand up. But other than that, I agree. I mean, what are you worried about? You're worried about getting sent off and getting banned for a few games? Like, you're playing your goalkeeper, right? The reason why I would even more so play Darlow was because Dubravka's coming back. He's in training now. So if something did happen to Darlow, you know that Dubravka just round the corner is going to be back anyway. So, and as I keep saying, this is the quarterfinals. This is the most important game Bruce will ever have as manager of us, in my opinion, is this one, because it's a chance to get to the semi-finals. And
do you think if he loses this game, moving to you, Bestie, if he loses this game, do you think he'll ever get sacked?
Well, I don't think he will anyway. He could lose, unless he lost every single game. He's not getting sacked. Ashley's shown before that he's got a pretty kind of limp trigger finger. How long did McLaren have? How many chances did he have before he went? Pardew was asking for Pardew to go for 2 years before he got sacked in the end. Bruce, I don't think Bruce will get sacked. No, I think that even if they lose this game, lose to Leicester, Arsenal in the Cup, Man City, Liverpool, Bruce stays. And I mean, on results, I'm not going to say it, am I? I don't want him to stay, but I think it would be harsh to sack him based on the results we've had. The problem with sacking Bruce is, I've got no faith at all in Charnley and Ashley to get an adequate replacement in, to get someone in who's going to take the team forward, take the club forward. Like, they just haven't got it in them. They did it once with Benitez and they pied him off. So even if Bruce goes, and I don't think Bruce is a good manager, don't get us wrong, and there are managers out there that could replace him and could do an infinitely better job, I don't trust that they would appoint the right man. So it's quite...
Bestie, our interest, who do you feel would be the right man?
Oh, it's hard to say, isn't it? I'm not really on the Eddie Howe train as much as a lot of people are. He's he took half the team down last season. We look at who we've got there now, and he spent a lot of money at Bournemouth.
This one's Bournemouth.
Mate, you've been saying it all the time. Been saying it all recording.
I can't help it. It's no disrespect whatsoever to Brentford either. It's one of those things. I get them confused.
I think, talking about Eddie Howe, Bestie, once again, I'll come back to you. I put a tweet out saying, if Bruce was to get sacked or leave, I would like to see Eddie Howe come in. When I say that, it's a stopgap for me. It's somebody to come in, not on a long-term contract. Would Eddie Howe do that on the likes of a rolling contract? He's out of work, remember?
Yeah. You imagine you have offers, though, like Championship or Premier League at some point. I mean, would West Brom have thought about getting him in touch with him before they got Allardyce? I mean,
surely.
You'd hope so. Yeah, he's a better manager than Allardyce, I think. But for me, I mean, when you look at like Hassan Huntelaar at Southampton, I'm not saying to appoint him because he wouldn't. Why would he leave Southampton to come to Newcastle at the minute? But there are managers out there that we've never heard of that would do a good. Would do a good job. You know, it hasn't got to be this kind of insular pool of 20, 30 managers. Oh, he's done it. He's done it at Bournemouth. He's done it at.
Well, Decker says this. Decker said this for a number of weeks now, and I think we've said this way back before even Rafa came in. I'll go to you, Mark, that it doesn't have to be a known manager. Sometimes you've just got to take a punt, take a risk on an upcoming manager, a younger manager, even from a different league. Doesn't have to be English. I know the media will have you believe, and other fans believe that. As Newcastle United fans, we want to see a Geordie in charge, want to see 11 Geordies on the field, and that's not the case. We've got one in charge there at the moment, which we don't want there. So it's got nothing to do with it. So is it the case for you, Mark, where you start looking further afield, looking at somebody who isn't a well-known name, and one of these firefighters, like the media like to call them?
I couldn't care less who the manager is, whether they're well-known, whether they've manage this club or that club. If they come in with the right attitude, the right way of playing football, get the players on board and start actually getting us playing some good football and getting some results along the way, then I'd be over the moon with that. My big worry is I don't believe the hierarchy at this club have got their finger on the world footballing pulse to be able to pick and find a manager like that.
For fine, well, it's going to go down the next way. Like, if I know we're looking ahead, and Bruce isn't going to get sacked. I know we're saying that, but I'm just looking for fan opinion on this one. But as a club, Mark's just hit the nail on the head. They're going to start going down that list and go, Sam Allardyce, all right, he's just gone to West Brom. Pulis, where's Pulis now? Sherwood, go down the list and just start ticking them off, stuff like that. It's that carousel, and Nigel Pearson. For fine well, if Bruce leaves, Nigel Pearson's going to be favourite to get that job, and I'll probably take him. To be fair, right now, but
I'd quite happily see Arteta get sacked at Arsenal and walk in here tomorrow.
Well, Adam's put in the messages there. Adam, who normally works behind the scenes here, said that Vieira is looking for work. Vieira was linked a few years back.
Zidane will be getting the sack soon.
Massive fallout with Saint, though, didn't he?
Yeah, and he got binned off at least because he was shocking, wasn't he? But this to come back to my point here about Eddie Howe is I know he took them down, but I'm not always like. Sometimes I think a manager can outstay his welcome, and he was at Bournemouth for an awful long time.
Got them from League Two,
from League Two all the way up. And fair enough, you got them relegated, and I absolutely agree with that. He made some poor signings, no doubt about that. Whether or not they were his signings, I'm not quite sure how Bournemouth setup was. But I just think because someone doesn't work at one job doesn't necessarily he'll be poor somewhere else. And I would personally love to have Eddie Howe, and I see differently to some of yous in regards to the stopgap or 1 year rule, and I'm quite happy to say, right, he has 5 years and make the best of it and do what you can.
Similar to what Chelsea have done to the likes of Lampard. Obviously, they got the likes of the ban, and they just went, right, that's your job. No matter what happens, this is your job for the next X amount of years.
Yeah, true.
To be fair,
I also
didn't expect him to be as successful as he's been, though, did they?
Well,
they
I wouldn't say
thought he was going to come in as a stopgap. Oh, I don't know, like.
Yeah. What I'll also say, though, this is just my opinion. I honestly feel like the next appointment is so important. It's absolutely huge because the fan base is fucked. They just absolutely had enough. And I just feel the next one needs to be someone that can reunite everyone. And my worry is, as much as I always bang here and sit here and go about fresh ideas, if we went for someone completely different, unheard of, I'm not sure that would harmonise everyone. I'm not so sure. But
so I saw this when I put the message on about Eddie Howe the other day. Adams put it there as well. Get Gerrard in, get him to bring Tavernier with him.
I thought you meant Gerrard Julia there.
This is a whole different debate. Steven Gerrard, would he leave Scotland and Rangers to come to the Premier League? I know Scottish League isn't the greatest of football, but can you see it happening or not? Because I bet you Rangers would want a little bit.
Being the most childish in the group.
Digger, all we can hear is Lisa.
She's doing it. So I'll shut the door. Sorry, I'll shut the door. 2 seconds.
So what about you, Bestie?
What was the question?
Gerrard.
I think he would want to stay in Rangers this year at least because they've got a good chance. It looks like they could win the league this year up there. I think Celtic have won the last 9 or 10 maybe. So if Bruce got sacked in the morning, hypothetically, I don't think you get Gerrard in then. Maybe it's next year if they win the league, have a go at Europe, fall out then. I think
I'm obviously just said Gerrard will leave in the summer if he wins the league with Rangers. Thing is, if he wins the league, that means Champions League football the next season.
I mean, for the autumn at least. I mean, if they get knocked out of the Champions League, if they don't get in the UEFA Cup places, I think that might be a time to get him. So that'll be maybe this time next year. But
I would think. Sorry,
I don't think it's kind of comparatively poor as the Scottish League is to be the man that wins Rangers' first league title again in after the trouble they've had over the last decade.
Yeah,
and to do it to rub Celtics, he would be like
he's not leaving mid-season, is he?
No chance. He'll not be leaving there for a while yet.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up because we can go for 35 minutes on this one, but we'll go score predictions. Starting with you, Mark. Obviously, it's quarterfinal. Looking at getting in the semi-final. I I would say obviously we've had the problems with COVID, obviously running rife through the team, but I would probably say there's still a decent amount of players that Steve Bruce can choose from to take the game to Brentford. What's your predictions on this one, mate?
I can see us getting beat 2-0. I think with the attacking players that Brentford have got, they've got very, very strong positions on the wing, through the middle, in midfield that can cause us problems. I think they'll win that midfield battle easily against ours because of the whole sitting deep, and it'll just make that gulf between our strikers and our midfield massive. And unfortunately, I can only see a defeat at the minute.
What about you, Bestie?
I think it'll be a draw.
Will it end a draw? Does it go to replay this one, or does it
no,
go
90 minutes and then
straight penalties?
90 minutes of pens, yeah.
I think a draw, and then I think they'll beat one penalties.
Okay. Dagger?
I think we'll get butchered. I think maybe 2 or 3. I think. I think I don't want to make excuses here, but I'm going to make one. So it's a bit of Steve Bruce for you.
I know, you sound like Steve.
Playing Saturday night, 8 o'clock, or what time would you kick off on Saturday? What time it was? 8 o'clock. And then playing Tuesday. I'm telling you now, that is going to absolutely kill them. Only a couple of days off. Players are already low in confidence. I think we'll get absolutely butchered.
Right, so I'm going to flip it round here. I think we'll actually win this one. I think it's going to be one of those games where we might actually get a decent performance, which will give Bruce another lifeline. So I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle.
Now, can I ask you before we go there, like, how do you feel about getting in the semi-final? Like, if I'm saying, we've made it to the semis. Like, does anyone deserve any credit? Do you feel buzzing about it? Like, what's your feeling on that?
You can't personally. I'm not excited about it, but is that because of the current situation? Because we can't attend games? It might be a lot different if it was a case where we knew for fine well we could attend games and the possibility of going to Wembley eventually. It might be different. I know I'm sat here running the likes of a Newcastle-based YouTube channel, but I'm losing a lot of interest in the club. I'm watching the games, and when Wilson scored that penalty at the weekend, I didn't celebrate. I was like, normally I'd be going wild. I was like Bestie and Ashley. I just didn't celebrate. I feel as if I'm losing emotion for the club, and that's draining from us quite quickly.
I kind of feel that as well a bit, but to go back to what Decker's kind of question was, remember the quarterfinal against Man City last season, the one that were kind of
that was the one that just got cancelled, wasn't it? Like obviously COVID hit just before that.
Yeah, that was going to be the Saturday night, wasn't it? But like that was, people were buzzing for that, and it was Man City. We knew we didn't know we were going to get beat, but we knew that it was going to be a hard game, and the likelihood was, but the people were buzzing for it. I think if they do get past, I think if crowds are allowed, then you'd have the awareness be a sellout tomorrow night. And I think the semi, whoever it is, I think Arsenal, Tottenham, Man City, to someone, I can't remember who's in it now, Liverpool maybe, that whoever you get, I think, because this year the semi's only one leg, but normally it's 2. You'd sell out St James's Park and you'd sell your way in for whoever it was under normal circumstances. I think it's just because of COVID, because fans aren't, there's a bit of a kind of detachment now, I think. As well as what Chris says, I feel the same. I've for a few years now felt myself kind of drifting a little bit from like really caring that much. Again, doesn't really put us in a great position as a panelist on something like this. But yeah, I think not being able to go to the games had a massive effect on it. And I think if they did win tomorrow, under normal circumstances, the tickets would be snapped up for the semi, no bother.
Yeah. It's worrying that you mentioned a handful of teams there, Bestie, and all those teams and all those fans of those teams will be looking at the other teams and go, I want Newcastle.
Oh, undoubtedly. No doubt.
Which they would have for years, for absolutely years. Like, I'm not just saying that like because of the situation now.
I'm not sure about years.
Honestly,
how many years are you talking about? I reckon under the likes of a lot of the squad on that Pardew, I think a lot of teams would have feared.
What's that, 10 years? How long is that ago?
8
years?
Yeah, 10.
Nah, it couldn't be that long, is it?
11 to 13.
Sacked in January 15 or late 14, he went, didn't he?
Yeah, about
So even-
7 year, about 7 year.
If Arsenal, if the current Arsenal got through, which they won't, I agree. But you don't want to be taking on Man United, Man City, Liverpool's. Like we are
Stoke
the
are still
weak
in
link.
there as well, like, but
If
they're
that's
playing
for a while.
Spurs.
It's a funny one for me because you all know how much I love the club, and to think of getting to the semi-finals. Do you know why it doesn't excite it as much? And I shouldn't say this, like, but I have zero faith that we can beat the next opposition. Zero, absolutely zero. That we can. If we get drawn against City, you know what I mean? We'll just get beat.
We said this. We said this last week after the Leeds game. Well, it was just me actually. That done the reaction to the Leeds game. I said you're going in another game against a newly promoted team in Fulham, and you're not confident picking a point up. Never mind 3 points. It's just a rolling thing now, where every single game, the next game up, we're thinking, take a point. I'll take a point. We're not confident in winning a game, which is absolutely horrendous, absolutely shocking. Like I'm looking at the likes of the fixtures coming up, and I swear to God, right now, I'm just looking down there and going, we're not getting anything there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. And you'd normally go down and think, could get 3 points there.
I do agree. I definitely agree, but I've honestly sat here before and thought that, and we've pulled one out of the bag. We have, and I remember Spurs away. We had this season. I was like, "There's no way we'll get out there," and we've got something. And it's just, there is the odd game that we do get something from. But well, it was, but that's what I mean, though. Like, I don't know. I just feel that sometimes we will. I hope, but mind you, part of us, though, and this is, I should never say this when I support someone. Part of us wants to lose every single one of them, because then that might get the end goal that I'm wanting. Because if we do sneak a draw against Man City, which we won't, but if we did, there's another lovely life for Bruce there. There's a life just in the column. He'd never get sacked for years, man, if that happens. But can you just get beat off all of them, and then he goes? And maybe do you take that for the want of better good? I'm not sure.
I think you probably expect it to lose the next 3 or 4 games.
So I think more than that. I looked at the list. I think more than that.
Surprise.
Could go for.
I'm beyond that. I'm looking at like Sheffield United. I'm going to lose that one as well. Like all of them. All of them.
Think, will he write off those next 3 or 4 league games because we're not going to get anything? Whereas this one, we could and just chuck everything at it. But I still don't think we've got enough to do it.
I'm looking at Blackpool away and saying we'll lose that one as well. That's how far down the fixture list I am right now.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, I hope you're right though, Chris. Of course, I still would like to make the semis because we have all asked and wanted to get a cup run for a long time. Yeah. And it would be fabulous if we got there.
I think there's always a lifeline where we'll always have a bad run of games where display is shocking, then we'll have a decent one. And I think tomorrow night is where we'll see that decent one.
Well,
I hope so.
And if not, we can look forward to Mark Hughes coming in.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't even think about him. Well, at least he can get his jacket back from the Gallagher.
It's on the roof of the Millburn, isn't it?
Look at Dick, absolutely, like you just realised that it's an actual possibility that Mark Hughes.
And I think that's probably arguably the most annoying point is that you just don't know who you could get next.
It's believable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. We'll call it a night. It is 25 to 12. So thanks to everyone who has been watching this one. All 120 of you right now. Thanks very much. Thanks to all the members who've signed up in the last handful of weeks, about the last 3 weeks since we started this membership program. It's doing very well.
In the last 43 minutes.
In the last 43 minutes, mate, I think there's been let's just check 0 again. There's been 0. So if anybody has enjoyed this preview, I know we've gone on a little bit about previous games, players, managers, but yeah, if you have enjoyed this one, don't forget to subscribe. And if you would like to give us a little bit of a kickback, well, give us a little bit of a kickback, and obviously you can sign up to be a member on this one. It's $2.99 a month. It helps upgrade everything. As you can see, both myself, Bestie, Decker have all got microphones. Look how sexy Bestie looks at the minute with his new webcam. Looking as handsome as ever. Mark decided he didn't want to upgrade anything. So I don't know why, but he didn't want to upgrade anything. But yeah, thanks to you. Thanks to you, lot. This is what we get. So
have a great Christmas, everyone.
Exactly. We probably won't see you until after Christmas. Now we'll probably see you just before the new year. But thanks very much for everything.
Tomorrow night.
But you won't see the 4 of us.
Exactly.
So Thanks for this year. Thanks for tuning in throughout the year. I know it's been a difficult one, but I hope that we've brought you a little bit of entertainment throughout. And we'll see you after Christmas.
Sponsored by Red Stripe.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.